What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Luke Innes here. I am doing a bit of a video response type thing here to a YouTube user by the name of Liam Daniel. He was kind enough to do a shout out in the form of a response to one of my videos not so long ago, so I thought I'd sort of return the favour, and what I'm going to be doing is kind of showing the worst movie sequels is the kind of theme. It'd be cool if this could become like a tag, wouldn't it? But yeah, let's get on with it. So American Psycho 2, yeah, this is a pile of shit. Barely even connected to the original American Psycho. I believe this was basically a script that was lying around the offices at Lionsgate, and they just decided to kind of incorporate the story a little bit and sell it as an American Psycho sequel. It's a lot. They've done a lot of that sort of thing. They've done it countless times with Hellraiser. But you know, everyone bitches about American Psycho 2, and I hate it as much as everyone else. So you know, we'll leave it at that. Next up, another one. This is another one, and it's often, you know, this isn't necessarily the worst films I own, but it's films where you love the first movie and then the second movie is just awful, and this is no doubt one of them. Escape from LA is horrendous. I love Escape from New York. It's a fantastic film, one of my favourite John Carpenter films, and if you know me, you'll know that I'm a big Kurt Russell fan as well. So I mean, to go from Escape from New York to this is just way too far of a dive. You know, the Escape from New York was a film that had, yeah, this feels like a parody of Escape from New York. That's the best way to describe it. It's during that time when CG wasn't that good yet, so you know, there was a lot of shit CG in movies like this. So yeah, it's a load of shit CG, really phony plot, just definitely not a good enough movie to follow up Escape from New York. So yeah, Escape from LA is terrible. Next up, we've got the now, when people talk about movies in the Dumb and Dumber franchise that are bad, they often go straight to Dumb and Dumber 2. Now, I've got to say, I actually kind of liked that movie. There was a few decent laughs in it. Not anywhere near as many as the original, but there was a handful of decent laughs in it for me. But what a lot of people forget is that there was a prequel released, Dumb and Dumberer. Yeah, this is a fucking horrendous piece of shit of a prequel. Absolutely no laughs whatsoever in this movie. Terrible. I would take Dumb and Dumber 2 a million times over this, I've got to say. Yeah, no, Dumb and Dumberer, pathetic. Alright, so you might remember some time ago, well, not some time ago, fairly recently in the grand scheme of things, I reviewed Jason X on my channel, and I commented that it's not the worst Friday the 13th sequel. The worst one, as far as I'm concerned, is actually Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday from 1993, I believe. Yeah, this is the first movie where New Line took over the franchise, and they made an absolute hash of it. They really did. Obviously, this was just because this movie was only made because they were trying to sort of pass the time until they were going to do the Freddy vs Jason crossover, which obviously spent a long time in development hell, and they just put no effort into this film. It feels like Jason's barely in it. It's got this stupid, and I mean, all the Friday the 13th movies are stupid, come on, let's, you know, not pretend, but this is particularly stupid. All this stuff about Jason's spirit flying into other bodies and all that does nothing for me. So yeah, Jason Goes to Hell is shit. This movie's shit as well. This is Halloween Resurrection. This is a really tragically bad, not very funny at all horror comedy. There is, I mentioned this in one of my collection videos recently, but yeah, there's like one funny scene in it, which is not enough, and it's not scary at all, and it's just really, really poor after a decent film in Halloween H20. And I mean, I really like The Curse of Michael as well, so I think that this is a shite film off the back of 2 good ones. So yeah, Halloween Resurrection, awful. But the worst Halloween movie is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I don't like Rob Zombie as a filmmaker, and I thought his Halloween remake was a load of old poop. But this makes that look like high art. Awful movie, cannot stand Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Total fucking dog shit, don't even bother. Okay, so I'll show the next couple at the same time. This is Hostel Part 2 and Hostel Part 3. Yeah, need I say more? I mean, when I was a kid I loved Hostel, I thought that was a great movie. And as I've grown up, I've sort of realised actually that it's you know, it's quite an intense visual spectacle, but it's very shallow movie. There's not an awful lot going on, but there's even less going on in these movies. Hostel Part 2 was a massive disappointment to me as a kid, because it just wasn't scary or sexy like the first movie was. And Hostel Part 3 is just a load of old wank, so, you know, whatever. But we'll move on from that. I mean, that's one of those cases where I don't really like the original movie as much as I did anymore. Here's a movie. Now, I mentioned this recently and in a collection video, but a lot of people hate this series, and I'm not one of them. I think the first movie was decent. The second movie was actually really good. That's a movie that I think with time people will come to appreciate the fact that it's a really good movie. But when the time came to make a third Human Centipede, Tom Six done goofed. This is, yeah, pathetic movie, horrible story, terribly written, really anticlimactic. I mean, you know, there was like a 4-year wait for this movie after the second one, and yeah, it was just not worth the wait at all. Yeah, load of shit. Next up, and this is another one of those things of like a movie that I loved from my youth, and so this is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Now, granted, the original Mortal Kombat is not a great movie. It is a good movie at best, and you know, that's pushing it. It's a fun watch, is what I'll say about the first Mortal Kombat. But as a kid, I loved it. And I actually quite liked this movie as a kid, but as I've grown up, I've realised that actually, yeah, this is one of the worst movies ever made. It's awful. Terrible special effects, as you've probably seen countless times all over the internet. Yeah, no, Annihilation, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, terrible, dreadful. Don't even try it. The great shame about it is that James Remar plays Raiden in it, and James Remar is a truly great actor. Yeah, I think pretty much everyone who was in that movie had their career ruined by it. Probably deservedly so, but yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna. This is again 2 sequels. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans will tell you that the first movie was brilliant, which it was. The second 2. Yeah, really not worth bothering with. The Secret of the Ooze is like a really deflating sequel after the first one. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is proper horse shit. So yeah, if you're a Ninja Turtles fan and you haven't seen these 2, I would say don't worry too much about seeing these. The first movie is pretty great though, I'll give you that. Next up, Terminator Salvation. Yeah, now this is Christian Bale in entry into the Terminator franchise. Obviously bears very little relation to the others in terms of the type of film it is. It's like a post-apocalyptic action movie rather than more of a post-apocalyptic war movie than kind of the sci-fi action of the kind of earlier Terminator movies. It's basically Charlie's Angels 3. Obviously it's directed by McGee, so it's terrible. Yeah, I can't stand Terminator Salvation, by far the worst in the series, at least of the ones I've seen. I haven't seen Genesis yet, but I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Terminator 3, I'll be honest. Terminator Salvation, no way. Okay, so there's only a couple more I'm going to show. Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. This movie is so bad that the production company didn't want to release it. They shelved it for 2 years, and then when the two main stars, Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, became famous, they decided to release it to earn a quick buck. And yeah, like I say, this is a film that was so bad that it didn't get released. Total horse shit, one of the stupidest movies you'll ever see. It seems to think that the best way to channel the spirit of the original is by being a kind of over-the-top and goofy substandard slasher movie, which totally bears no semblance to what the original movie is. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, that is gotta be one of the dead bottom movies in that franchise. But another one of the worst would be, and this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. I hate both of the Platinum Dunes Texas Chainsaw movies, but I can recognise that the first one is quite a well-made movie. It's more the fact that I'm obviously a long-time Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan that makes me hate the Platinum Dunes movies so much. But this is, like I say, this is clearly miles behind the original Michael Bay remake. And yeah, no, this is all the things that were terrible about that movie to a degree of 100 really here. Really stupid plot. Claims to be, you know, about Leatherface growing up, when really there's about 10 minutes at the start, and then he's, you know, fucking, it's, you know, set about a week before the original Platinum Dunes movie after that. So yeah, awful. Can't stand the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. That might actually be worse than The Next Generation, I'm not totally sure. Alright, the last one I'm going to show, this is the only official sequel to Zombie Flesh Eaters. This is Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, also known as Zombie 3, depending on where you're at. It was released internationally as Zombie 3, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 here, I think in Australia as well. This is the sequel to Zombie Flesh Eaters, Zombie 2 if you're in Italy, Zombie if you're in America. So in America there's no Zombie 2. But yeah, no, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 is, yeah, considering it was directed by Lucio Fulci, it should have been a lot better. You know, Zombie Flesh Eaters is possibly my favourite Fulci movie, and the fact that even he couldn't follow it up properly sort of says that it was probably best left alone. It's the only legit sequel in the series, because the other sequels were all retitled movies that had been repackaged to be Zombie Flesh Eaters movies, which was quite easy to do because this one isn't a direct sequel plot-wise to the original. This is if you want to know what this is, actually, this is kind of a bit of a really poor rip-off of Return of the Living Dead. So, you know, if you're a Return of the Living Dead fan, avoid that one, because you'll be deeply upset with it. So, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Luke Innes. Please do like, comment, subscribe. There's a link to my podcast, Ironcast, in the description. I would really appreciate you checking that out. There is also a link to Liam's video on the same topic, which I'd really love you to check out. It'd be really nice of you to do that favour for me, seeing as he mentioned my name in a video and sort of threw a bit of a shout out my way. I'm doing the same for him. So yeah, thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.